Hey friends, and welcome to the channel. My name is Katie. I'm a registered dietitian and certified personal trainer. And for those of you following me for a long time, I'm also a new mom. This week I was chatting a lot with my PCOS clients and I had several new moms that I was talking to. And while I really absolutely try to avoid projecting my own experience and giving my own tips of like momhood in my one-on-one counseling sessions, I found that actually more moms than not wanted to hear, hey, you have a newborn at home, like, do you have any random things that just worked well for you to prioritize your health and your fitness goals? And just reflecting on how the past 7 months have been, my routine and my strategy has really changed and developed over the last 7 months. For those of you who don't know, I am essentially working part-time. I'm doing a little bit of nutrition counseling. I'm doing a little bit of YouTube, which doesn't make me a full-time income, but makes me a little. And I'm also doing some nutrition and health writing. So I'm doing that, and I'm also full-time caretaking for Leo. So I'm doing a lot of stuff during his naps, and I'm also having to keep on top of my own health routine and fitness routine, and it's just been nuts. So I want to share with you guys specifically some of the productivity hacks that I've used to maximize and make the most of my time while having a newborn at home, and also taking care and prioritizing my own health, because I know if I don't prioritize my health, then I'm not doing the best that I can for my family and for Leo. And you know, I'm a busy gal, so I have a lot of ambition to do a lot of things. So maybe some of these tips and strategies will help you as well. And no, none of this is really like rocket science or recreating the wheel. It really is just simple and effective strategies that helped me best. And if this helps just one person maximize their time and feel a little bit better and a little less stressed in motherhood, then that's good enough for me. All right, tip number 1 is to pick 3 most important tasks for the day. So 3 doesn't sound like a lot, especially if you're a mom, a business owner, and you also have a long list of to-dos related to family and otherwise. But I promise you, if you don't prioritize 3 things, you're going to get bogged down in the giant endless list that you have, and you're going to get essentially nothing done. So I always recommend having 3 tasks to start with. And how you start with this list is, I want you to ask yourself, if I can only get one thing done today, one thing, what would that be? What's your one thing that if you get that done, you will still feel accomplished for the day, even if nothing else on your list gets done? I like to have a fairly predictable schedule because I find that that helps me take the decision fatigue out of things. So I have kind of spelled out Monday through Sunday, what are the top 3 things that, like, if I can't think of anything, these are the things that I'm gonna get done. So I will say that sometimes it does change what those 3 priorities are on my Monday versus what my like mom binder says. But I like to start with kind of spelling it out in a binder or in a notebook or however you like to do it. What are 3 things that I could accomplish on each day of the week? So again, it takes the decision fatigue out of it. Hypothetically, I could wake up one morning and say, it's Monday. What are my 3 things for the day? Or I can also be flexible and wake up on Monday and have 3 totally separate things. You know, I try to be flexible with it, but it's there if I need it. And if you're curious what my 3 things usually are, number 1, my highlight has to do with work or like what's gonna move the needle. So whether it's a nutrition article that I'm writing. I have a really bad itch on my nose. Excuse my nose for being super red, but the show must go on. So usually one thing is work related. The second thing I almost always prioritize, at least Monday through Friday, is exercise. I like to fit in at least 4 to 5 workouts a week. So normally that happens Monday through Friday. And I like to plan that around Leo's nap. Usually I find that that works out to be like right when he wakes up from his first nap is when I exercise. I'll talk more about that later. And then the third thing usually has to do with something that's more of like a maintenance mode type thing. So cleaning the house or organizing the laundry, doing the dishes, something that relates to maintaining the house in some way. That way my list is not all focused on work and it's not all focused on the house. It's kind of balanced. I also like to make sure that like my one thing that's not maintenance related has to do with like elevating my life in some way, whether that's me making a little money or me feeling creatively inspired or something that just like, you know, entertains or educates me in some way that makes my life better. Again, we don't want to get stuck in that maintenance mode as moms. I feel like that's a really easy default to get in, and that's what makes a lot of moms feel really burnt out. So make sure that you're prioritizing something that moves the needle and makes you feel a little lighter, a little happier, and maybe creatively inspired. My next tip is having an ongoing list of things that are more like bonus tasks. So you know how we said that you have 3 priorities of the day, and that probably feels restricting and like, okay, if I only do 3 things a day, Katie, I'm never gonna get everything done. Well, lucky for you, there's a little bit of flexibility to that too, but I prefer to do it this way because I feel like the psychology is better of like having 3 priorities, knocking those out, and then having a bonus list that's separate, that if you knock into that list, you're gonna feel like you did more versus if you had the whole list together. For some reason, even though it's the same thing, you feel like you are doing less because your list is never ending. And it's just psychology. If you erase 3 things on a list of 50 things, it just doesn't feel as satisfying as getting 3 out of 3 things done. So anyway, I feel like I'm making this way more confusing than it needs to be. Have your 3 priorities each and every day, and then have a list of things to where if you are done with those 3 things and you want to do more, or you just find that you really don't know where to start with your 3 priorities of the day, you always have this like longer list to grab into and to pick and choose from of like, okay, this is my someday list that I can pull from to know how I can like manage each and every day. My next tip is differentiate your nap tasks versus your wake time tasks. You'll probably hear Leo in the background. He just woke up from his nap. Speaking of nap time, so as you can tell, it doesn't always work perfectly, but you'll learn as a mom that being flexible is probably the most valuable skill that you'll have ever. Even though it's not always perfect and it doesn't always feel great to switch your tasks and your focus areas, you know, you do what you gotta do to get things done and to support your family best. Now, in productivity, if you've ever looked into this topic at all, you've probably heard of deep work and shallow work, and how you really only have about 2 to 4 hours of deep work a day, sometimes even less than that. And you really want to like make the most of those times. And for me, I was really trying to figure out, okay, how can I find deep work in the small amount of time that I have? Because like I said, I do business stuff and other things alongside of taking care of Leo full time. So what I found to be most helpful is doing my deep work when Leo is napping and doing my shallow, more easy stuff while he's awake. Not necessarily to say that all shallow work is easy work, but here's kind of the difference between like what deep work means for me and what shallow work means for me. For me, I find that if it has to do with writing or filming or things that require a lot of mental focus, anything like that is going to be done during his nap. That also sometimes includes learning and doing continuing education. Depends on the type and if I have to really be focused in, but nonetheless, that's anything that requires a lot of focus that I don't want to be broken up into small tiny fragments, I like to do when he's sleeping. Even sometimes things like editing, I can do either while he's sleeping or awake, but I just prefer to do it while he's sleeping because I feel like I can kind of like bang it out like way more easily when I have my focus. Now, shallow work, again, I don't like calling it shallow or light work because it's still work, but light work or shallow work is the type of things that I can kind of sort of multitask with. So that would be like meal prep I can do with Leo strapped onto me because we can do it together, and that's something that we can, you know, kind of enjoy together. Also, I find things like exercise, ironically, is better when he's awake than when he is napping. I used to try to do it while he's napping, and I just found that, I don't know why, like I just prefer it when he is first thing awake. Usually I schedule it right after his first nap because I find that he's in such a good mood then that usually he can just lay on his mat a little bit scooted away from me so my weights aren't right over him or anything like that. But I find that it's the best time of the day to really just enjoy that time together and make the most of his nap times. I can focus more on like work that needs like mental energy during nap time. Filming is also another thing that I like to do during naps, but we're still figuring out how to juggle all of the things. The next thing that I find that helps with productivity is creating mini self-care moments. So if you're a busy mom like me, you probably have already found out that taking care of yourself can be quite a challenge when you're trying to take care of everyone else. And I try my best with this, but it's still a challenge for me too. So I like to make the most of very small tasks that are gonna make me feel my best. That includes doing things like getting up and doing my makeup, doing my hair, putting an actual outfit on, getting outside, making tea, making a smoothie. These little things that maybe we don't consider to be truly like self-care, but to me and to new moms, they are actually acts of self-care. It can also be things like just making yourself a healthy lunch or chopping fruits and vegetables to make sure that you get in plenty of produce throughout the week. Little things like this make a big difference in your week. All right, Leo needs some entertainment, so we're gonna wrap it up here. But my last tip that I wanna give to you, my last bit of advice, is to just be realistic and prioritize. Be realistic with what you can fit in your schedule and know that it's not gonna be the exact same as when you did not have kids. That's just the way it is, but you can still enjoy those moments at home and optimize your time, prioritize things, and really get the things that you want done, whether it's in your business or, homemaking or whatever it is. You can make time for your number one priorities. You may not be able to make time for all of it at once, but the things that you want to accomplish and prioritize can happen. All right, me and Leo are signing off here, and let me know what questions you have, and if you'd like a follow-up on this or if you want me to talk about stuff like this more, just let me know. If you have any questions about momhood, nutrition, and momhood. Okay, there's no point in trying to stay on any longer. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.